What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with what's next for Nassourdine Imavov following UFC Paris win. Following his impressive win at UFC Paris, it remains to be seen if Nassourdine Imavov challenges for the UFC's middleweight title next. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. Imavov faced Caio Borralho in the headliner, who hadn't lost a fight since 2015. Imavov, meanwhile, was riding a 4-fight win streak, which included a stoppage of former champion Israel Adesanya. Imavov came out pressuring hard right out of the gate, and the France-based fighter moved forward throughout most of the bout. Imavov's hand speed and boxing moved him ahead in the early going, but Borralho started to have more success as the fight wore on. So what's next for Imavov? Well, immediately after the fight, Imavov called for a title shot, and he cited the fact that he just snapped Borralho's lengthy winning streak as a key reason why. Given Imavov is ranked number 2 and the run he's been on, there's no question that he has a strong case to challenge Khamzat Chimaev. That said, Imavov didn't record a stoppage, and we all know how big a KO or submission can increase a fighter's title shot chances. Leading into Saturday's event, Dana White stopped short of saying that the main event would determine the next title shot. Reinier de Ridder is booked to face fellow surging contender Anthony Hernandez on October 18th. So if either of those men records a highlight reel finish that leaves the masses buzzing, it wouldn't be shocking if they get tapped for a title shot instead. But what do you think? Should Imavov get a title shot next? After the fight, Imavov spoke with Full Send MMA, where he sent a message to Khamzat Chimaev following his win. This is what he had to say. "Congratulations on winning the title. I'm not calling you out specifically, I'm calling out the belt. It doesn't matter who has it, that's all I want." Imavov even went as far as to say that he felt Borralho break last night. He was a lot more motivated at the start of the week. Every time I touched him, it got more difficult for him. It's very difficult to stay motivated when there's no solution to your opponent. Speaking of Borralho, Sean Strickland called him an idiot for cutting weight and being the backup for the Khamzat vs DDP fight just a couple of weeks before this fight. This is what he had to say. "Caio is my buddy, but he's an idiot. He trained with us and was useless. Me, what's wrong with you? Caio, I'm cutting. I'm an alternate." So you're giving up 4 weeks of your camp cutting weight twice while having a fight coming up? Whoever told you to do that, please hit him. A fan pointed out that it was funny that Strickland started the post by calling Caio an idiot. Strickland reacted to the post saying, "It was so frustrating, I wanted to hit him. I didn't say anything because I wanted to keep his spirits up, but he really took some bad advice from someone." That fight wasn't him, it was missing 4 weeks of training, cutting weight twice. Do you agree with Sean Strickland? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What's next for Benoit Denis following UFC Paris win? Heading into Saturday's card, Denis was a sizable underdog for this fight with Mauricio Ruffy, mostly because Ruffy was widely regarded as one of the fastest rising products in the division, on account of his 7-fight winning streak. He's also a member of one of the hottest teams in the game, the Fighting Nerds. While BSD was coming off a victory, that win came against short-notice opponent Kyle Prepolek. Before that, the French fighter was stopped by Dustin Poirier and Renato Moicano back-to-back, which muted the hype Denis had generated early on in his UFC run. But at UFC Paris this weekend, BSD put his wrestling and grappling game to work, and everyone realized early on that this could be a pathway to victory. Although Ruffy worked his way back to his feet several times, in round 2, Denis secured a nasty-looking choke/face crank. Ruffy was forced to tap, and the crowd went nuts. So what's next for Denis? Immediately after the fight, he told Michael Bisping he would be open to facing anyone ranked in the top 10, and he also expressed an interest in fighting at UFC 322. While this was a massive win and Denis is ranked number 13 right now, the top 10 at 155 is currently stacked. Could Mateusz Gamrot be an option, who's ranked number 8 right now? Beneil Dariush is ranked number 9 and coming off a win over Moicano, so that could also be an option. Meanwhile, Michael Chandler is ranked number 12, but if the UFC wanted to place BSD in a high-profile fight, maybe the promotion would look at that matchup, Chandler vs Denis, possibly at MSG. As for Ruffy, he got bashed online for his ground game. Islam Makhachev went on X and wrote, "Win or lose, Ruffy has 0 grappling." UFC fighter leaves OCTAGON in wheelchair following brutal leg kicks. UFC Paris featured plenty of finishes, and one of the more memorable ones was Caio Fernandez taking out Hardwick with leg kicks. The Brazilian lightweight needed less than 4 minutes to put the former Cage Warriors champion down with a vicious kick to the calf. Hardwick was in such rough shape that he had to be taken out via a wheelchair. Well, following the loss, it wasn't long before Hardwick was being reminded of what he had to say about Anthony Smith not too long ago.
"Are you on?" I take personal offense to this because Anthony Smith is probably the fighter in the world right now. He has the least appropriate nickname. He gets called Lionheart despite every fight he goes into a fetal position on the floor and just sort of cowers. He gives up but like lets the fight keep happening and people give him praise for it. terrible. Don't you agree, Paul?
He's absolutely
And he's a idiot for not just taking the DQ win and running away with his money. Moron. And all of his takes as an analyst as well. Anthony Smith, prick.
And Cub Swanson had this to say about Hardwick's performance via social media. He might be the worst fighter in the UFC, that was bad. And when the Art of War account pointed out that Hardwick took the fight on short notice, Swanson said this: "Okay, I didn't know it was short notice, but still, that was not up to par in 2025. That striking was on par with 2005. To which Art of War also noted, up a weight class too, Harry is much better than he showed there. Also, Fernandez is a beast." But what do you think of Hardwick's performance and Swanson's assessment? And do you think that fans are right to call him out over what he said about Smith?
alright. That was I was but I'm alright. 4 days notice, a weight class up, I thought, yeah, I'll do it, but it is what it is, man. Like, I'll come back. I'll be back. Never in a million years did I think that was on my UFC debut would go, but it is what it is. I can stand. I'm alright. I don't think anything's broken. I'm alright. You just don't need to worry. I'm gonna try and find some way of cleaning myself when the ice bags melt, so I don't have like the world's biggest ringworm. But I'm good.
UFC updates. Okay, now let's take a look at some UFC and fight updates. The UFC has held several cards in Macau, China before, but recently the promotion announced it's going to be holding 3 more Fight Night cards in the region between 2026 and 2029, in addition to the first round of Season 5 of Road to UFC. In a press release announcing the partnership with the Galaxy Macau Integrated Resort, Dana White was quoted as saying, "I've just returned from China, and everything about it was incredible. The culture, the people, and the athletes. This new partnership with Galaxy Macau couldn't come at a better time. It's great for fight fans in China and massive for the sport." The press release also included the following regarding the Road to UFC show. Included in the first fight week for this multi-year agreement will be the Season 5 opening round of the sensational tournament for Asia Pacific's top MMA prospects, Road to UFC. The tournament gives up-and-coming athletes a direct path to a UFC contract while building up their experience and fan base in the region. Road to UFC is currently in its 4th season and has directly contributed 18 Asian athletes to UFC, including Chinese standouts Zhang Mingyang, Xi Ming, and Wang Kong. If the UFC continues to grow in China, don't be surprised if the promotion holds a lot more events in the nation moving forward. It's being reported that Evan Elder has withdrawn from a September 27 fight with Tom Nolan, and that the latter will fight Charlie Campbell instead at the Perth card. Nolan is coming off a decision win over Vyacheslav Borshev in February, and the Australian lightweight has won 3 in a row. Campbell, meanwhile, recorded a unanimous decision win over Trevor Peek in April, and the American has also won 3 straight. And Leo Guimarães recently reported that bantamweights Felipe Lima and Daniel Marcos will throw hands at the UFC's November 22nd card in Qatar. Lima is looking to get back on track, as the Brazilian lost via unanimous decision to Peyton Talbot in June. The Brazilian had won 14 straight fights prior to that loss. Marcos is also coming off a UD loss, as he was defeated by Montel Jackson in May. The Peruvian had gone undefeated in 18 fights prior to that loss. Also, a couple more fights have been booked for the UFC's October 18th event in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. At bantamweight, Cody Gibson will fight Ariki Lang. Gibson was submitted by Damon Blackshear in his last outing, which went down in March. The American is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Ariki Lang hasn't competed since September, when he lost by unanimous decision to Raul Rosas Jr. The Mongolian has gone 2-2 with 1 no contest in his last 5. And Matt Frevola has announced that he's going to battle featherweight Kyle Nelson at the Vancouver event. Frevola's been stopped in back-to-back fights, as Faraz Ziam and Benoit Saint-Denis finished him with strikes. The American had won 3 in a row prior to these fights. Nelson has not competed since September, when he was stopped by Steve Garcia. The Canadian had won 3 straight heading into that fight. Magomed Ankalaev will defeat Alex Pereira at UFC 320. Magomed Ankalaev is a fair-sized favorite on the betting lines to defeat Alex Pereira a second time, and you won't hear Modestas Bakauskas taking issue with those odds. Ankalaev and Pereira will throw down in the main event of UFC 320, taking place on October 4th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. The fight will mark the first time either man has fought since Ankalaev ended Pereira's light heavyweight championship reign back in March. Ankalaev did so by recording a unanimous decision win over the feared striker at UFC 313. He spoke spoke with MMA Junkie. While doing so, he provided this take on Ankalaev vs Pereira, Volume 2. I personally believe Ankalaev will get the job done again. Obviously, Pereira is extremely powerful, and he's also very well versed in every area as well, because we saw his takedown defense definitely held up that fight. But I just feel it's Ankalaev's time now. He had a hell of a performance in the first fight, and I feel it'll go the same way in the second. Do you agree with this take, or do you think Poatan will avenge his loss and begin his second reign as the UFC's light heavyweight king? Kamaru Usman interested in winner of Islam Makhachev versus JDM. The consensus is that Sean Brady or Shavkat Rakhmonov likely has an inside track on facing the winner of the Jack Della Maddalena Islam Makhachev fight. But Kamaru Usman is making the case that he should be the one to challenge for the welterweight belt. As you likely know, Della Maddalena and Makhachev are booked to fight in the headliner of UFC 322, taking place November 15th at Madison Square Garden. The fight will be JDM's first title defense since he took the welterweight title from Bilal Muhammad back in May. During a recent episode of the Pound for Pound podcast, Usman outlined why he believes the winner of the bout should fight him next.
If JDM defends and wins defends that title against Islam, who better than to say, okay, let's solidify him as the new generation of champion by taking on the biggest name, the former pound for pound in the division? Of course, me. And listen, and then of course, if Islam wins, pound for pound versus pound for pound fighting, I mean, I'm not really worried here. You know, I've done my job to let them know, because they wanted to see, hey, are you still that guy? Can you still hang with these guys? Can you still do your thing? And I've done that. I went in and I've showed them that, so I'm not worried.
There's no doubt that Usman is one of the greatest welterweights of this generation, and so a win over him would be a major feather in any fighter's cap. But do you see the UFC tapping Usman for a title shot ahead of Rakhmonov or Brady? Who do you think should face the winner of JDM versus Makhachev?
Я хотел задать вопрос Исламу. Считаешь ли ты Армана самым серьезным соперником для Ильи? И не кажется ли тебе, что Топурия избегает его?
Ну, что избегает, не секрет. Я уже видел там баталии в интернете, где он говорит, я лучше завершу карьеру, чем буду с ним драться. И я думаю на данный момент, что Арман набрал хорошие обороты, и это самый серьезный экзамен для чемпиона.
MMA community goes off on referee for early stoppage. Herb Dean is under fire after fans believe there was an early stoppage in the Axel Sola versus Rhys McKee fight. The MMA community wasn't happy with this decision, with some fans calling him out. Henry Cejudo said, "Was that an early stoppage?" Terrence McKinney said, "Nah, that stoppage was crazy. Bad stoppage by Herb Dean. Herb has been slacking all year, man. I love the guy too, but wow, very premature stoppage again. Absolutely ridiculous stoppage. Just watch the Rhys McKee fight and I can safely say that Herb Dean is the most overrated referee of all time. Bad stoppage, but the body damage from Sola was brutal. Awful. Rhys covers up, clearly aiming for wrist control, eats a couple unanswered shots in the meantime. It's literally a fight, gains wrist control, and is about to try to stand it back up, and the fight is stopped. Herb is the most inconsistent ref in the world. Herb Dean is either 100 strikes early or late to stopping a fight. No middle ground. His time as a referee should have expired a long time ago. Probably the worst Herb Dean has been in the octagon, and God knows he had bad nights recently. Herb Dean has got to allow Rhys McKee to work out of this position. He jumped in too quickly once again. Herb Dean, what the I mean, McKee was hurt, but that was early. Great win for Sola though. Yeah, on replay, it looks like McKee is covering up with one arm and grabbing the wrist of Sola with the other. Clear intelligence defense. Herb Dean strikes again. Do you think it was an early stoppage, or did Herb Dean make the right call? Let us know in the comments below.